Hello, hi everybody. Um, my my YouTube, I'm not sure if it was live or not. So, hello, hi everybody. If I'm repeating myself, welcome. We're swatching Faber Castell regular size pencils today. We did the jumbo ones that are like this big last week, and it's these tend to be more light fast. They tend to have some like kind of different properties. I think whatever makes them light fast makes them have maybe we're compromising some like smoothness or who knows what. Um, these smaller ones, they are not necessarily advertised as super light fast, but a lot of them are. But they're not as light fast as the jumbo set, even the same colors. So I need to take a sip of my tea real quick. I don't know why, if YouTube didn't go live, I don't know why it didn't, because I have auto live set up. So the first one we're going to be swatching is copper. And I was just saying that like this one, it's not great. Like I was so disappointed because copper is one of my favorite colors like to wear. It just goes really well with me. It's like I consider it copper and rose gold to be the metals that I would wear and I like to wear. And so I was super excited to have a paint in this color, a watercolor paint in this color. And yeah, you'll see. Okay. So the only thing we've got for these watercolor pencils, the only information we have is light fastness and the name. We don't have the pigment number. And to look that up would be a bit tedious. So this is copper. And, well, I mean, we do have a number on it, but I think that's just the number that this company puts in. It's not like good for cross-referencing across brands. So like if we wanted to look up the pigment number copper and also see it in Winsor & Newton, this number that's on here isn't going to help us. So I'm not going to write it down because I don't think it's relevant. But we've got 3 stars. And these 3 stars, I'm sorry, I went totally out of frame there. Let's see if I can stay a little bit more in frame. These 3 stars are, I think, decent light fastness. I think we have a maximum of 4. It might be 3 because black is almost always super light fast, and we know that this formulation is very light fast, and it says 3. So this is great. This should be very light fast. Okay, now let me show you why I don't like this. First of all, I don't feel like that's copper. I don't feel like it looks like this at all. I don't remember what happens when we wet it, but I don't remember being impressed. It's mostly like brown. It's not particularly shiny. If you keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going, it's a little pinker, a little less brown and a little more shiny, but I feel like it just looks like almost like pencil lead or something. Oh, I completely forgot my water today. It's okay. Luckily, I have it right here. And pencils. Paintbrushes. We need those. So we're going to soak them for a second so that we make sure that water is what gets in the metal bit and not paint. So the paint doesn't get sucked up in there and then blob out later. Okay, I think we're ready now. And let's activate this and see if it gets any better. And I just don't know when I'd ever use this. It's also a little bit rough. It's not, it feels slippery in a, like, in almost not a good way. Almost like there's metal in it and you're slipping on the metal. Because, you know, maybe it's actually made of metal. I don't know. Or like the properties or whatever the pigment is that's in here. I don't know because it's not written on the pencil. A lot of times water, if you're new to all of this, a lot of times, most of the time, all of the time, watercolor tubes are going to have a lot of information written on them. And you're going to probably get that information. But the pencils are too small. It can't fit, is what I assume, is why they don't write it on there. Okay, so we've swatched the one I don't like. Let's move on to one I do. And this one is called Medium Flesh. It's a little racist because flesh comes in a lot of different colors. But I guess they put the word medium, but I don't know. I've never seen a person this color. Maybe a sunburned person. Maybe a true redhead. I'm not saying I'm not a redhead, but I'm kind of like a brownish blonde redhead. Medium flesh. And we've got 3 stars. That's great. That means it's pretty light fast. I think it's super important. I really feel like light fastness is one of the most important things you need to think about when you're making art. Whether or not that's important to you, it's just something you gotta think about, because if you want to sell any of your originals, it's so much easier if you just use a light fast medium than if you have to go back and maybe seal it or put it in expensive museum glass, which is very expensive. And I don't like glass on top of my watercolors because I feel like it gets in the way of the view. Like, I don't really want to look at paintings that are behind glass, because you can only see it from certain angles. Of course, I think some of them are a little bit less reflective, but that also makes it more expensive. So when I do, I've not really sold any originals, but I've given them as gifts, and I seal it with wax, and that makes it waterproof. Not necessarily, it doesn't make it, what word am I looking for? It seals it so that you can't reactivate the watercolor under it. So it is waterproof, I guess. But I don't think it necessarily does anything to block out UV rays or anything like that. So if the paints that are underneath it aren't good quality or aren't light fast, then it's not going to go well and they're going to fade. So fuchsia. And that is only 2 stars. And I got this color not because I'm like in love with this color, because it's not particularly my favorite, but I got this color because it's good for mixing. To me, it's magenta, and it's good for mixing if you're using the CYMK model. CYMK, yeah. I don't usually use the K part. K stands for black, but I do the C for cyan, Y for yellow, and I'm usually a lemon yellow is what'll work, and then a magenta like this, because magenta can make red if you mix it with lemon yellow, believe it or not. I didn't know that. They lied to us in grade school. I don't think they lied to us because I don't think most teachers know, unless you're an art teacher. Maybe you would know. But I had an art teacher and they didn't. I don't remember ever being told anything about using magenta to make red, ever. I realized I am missing my pencil sharpener. And this green needs to be sharpened and this purple needs to be sharpened. Like I said, I would have totally taken care of this ahead of time, but technical difficulties because I'm still pretty new to streaming. It's something different every time too. Like I never know what's going to happen. Today it was a camera that has worked so flawlessly. It's not my best camera, but it just always works. And today it just didn't work. It's a webcam. And I got it to be like a backup. And then when I don't need it as a backup, I use it as a third camera. So if I have like a lot of stuff going on over here, then I've got like a palette or something and you can see it. Oh, how many stars do we got? We've got 2 stars. Yeah, so any work you do with this, you probably want to make prints of it. This pencil is very smooth compared to the other ones. So if you wanted to sell your work that you made with these pencils, you probably want to do a print. Or if you want to sell your original, you're going to have to find something to make it light fast. Or don't care what happens to your painting. You can have that option too. I wouldn't recommend it, but because whoever you sold it to might be pretty sad or upset with you. Not buy more from you if it fades quickly. And some paints fade astonishingly fast. It's ridiculous how fast they fade. One of the things I like about these paints is that when you activate them, they become kind of semi-permanent. Sorry, pencils. They become semi-permanent and they don't make your water that dirty. So I've been using all reds and the water's tinted pink, but if I was doing a watercolor painting and I was using this much red, if I was swatching this much red, the water would be red. It would look like blood. And it doesn't. It looks like barely tinted clear water. Our next is still red. I have so many reddish colors. I wonder why I did that. Pale geranium lake. A lot of my watercolors, or I'm sorry, any of my materials that aren't sets, I purchase most of them piece by piece by piece. I didn't buy them all at once. And what I would do is, so I homeschooled both my boys. And when they're very far apart in age. And so when I homeschooled my younger son, I would go to whatever art supply store was closest to maybe a class that he was taking. And I would pick up a few colors each time I'd go in, just so that I'd have a reason to go into the art supply store. And so I would refuse to buy more than a couple at a time. Also, a lot of the stores have like buy one, get 3 free or something. Or sorry, buy 3, get 1 free. That'd be great, right? And so I would buy whatever the number was at that particular store. And let me just make sure that my paintbrush is nice and clean. And it was fun. It was fun to give myself a little treat of new pencils. The only problem with that is sometimes I didn't document well which ones I had. I usually did, but every so often I'd mess up and then I'd end up buying the same color twice. I don't think that ever happened with the Faber Castell Albert Dürer. There's one thing to notice here. They dry really fast and it is hard to not get a line. If you're noticing here, like it dries and then you can't activate it. I did here, for whatever reason it let me, it didn't dry that fast. And it depends on how warm your room is. I don't feel like my room is very warm. My feet are really cold today. And so I have a heat lamp on my feet. So there's a heat lamp under the table. So it's drying fast. But the rest of the room isn't. Oh, I didn't have my space heater on. That's part of the problem. All right, we finally moved out of the reds, and we are on to orange glaze. Glaze sounds like it's going to be very. This is only 1 star. That's not great. So orange glaze sounds like it's going to be relatively opaque and not have good coverage, but I don't remember this orange being like that at all. I don't use much orange in any of my paintings, but I like to use it as a highlight color a lot of the time. And so I would like to use the pencil form of it. But if it only has 1 star, I'd be really careful to not do it on anything that I ever thought would be an original. That looks very coveragey. Maybe I did put a little bit extra on the page just to make sure I was giving it a fair chance, but I'm not seeing a glaze quality to this, so that must just be its name for whatever reason. Okay, now we are on to the orangey yellows. So this one is dark chrome yellow. And it is 2 stars. And I don't remember exactly what 2 stars means for Faber Castell. I might be able to look at the box of the 24 Mangus. And the information may be on there. But I don't remember seeing it when I swatched them the other day. So I'm thinking not. It's stuck in the crack. A little chunk of this flew off. So one of the things I like about watercolor pencils is that you have so much more control, but yet you can still get that watercolor look. Like you could put it down, draw, and like it's a pencil, and then activate it. You can get some really interesting qualities. And if it's a small area and you need a lot of control, or if it's detailed work, that's a really nice feature. The only thing is it can get kind of waxy if you build up layers, especially with the Mangus, because I think that they have some different binders in them than the smaller pencils. I don't think I've tried to build up too many layers though with these. This would mostly be something I do at the end of a painting when I was just trying to add some details. Sometimes I use regular pencils as well. In fact, that's usually what I do, so I don't use these as often as I used to. This is one of my favorite colors. You'll notice though it starts out very orange, and then if you thin it out, it's much more yellow. This one's a little hard to read. Cadmium yellow, and it's 2 stars. How do we spell cadmium? C-A-D-M-U-M, yellow. Really like cadmium yellow. It's like regular lemon yellow, but with just a touch more orange. Because I don't really like a straight yellow. I like it to have a little more little tiny bit of red in it, or orange, however you want to look at it. So I'm trying to be fast to see if we can get these to blend without the line. And I feel like I'm having a lot more success than I did with, well, I'll show you in a few minutes, with the Mangus. When I say Mangus, I just mean the big ones. Okay, how many more do we have to fit here? We have to fit 5. Yeah, that should be fine. But I don't know if we're going to fit these ones on this page, because I think that there's more of them than I realized. It's just that they're so teeny. But if we have 26 and we had only 24 of the Mangus, I guess I have more to fit in, and we barely fit the 24. So maybe I need to be making this a little tighter. Light chrome yellow. And we've got 2 stars. So none of our yellows are the most light fast. We have the option of the medium flesh if you wanted a light fast color, but not really with the yellows. And honestly, I like the color a lot, medium flesh. I don't like the name. I like the color a lot, but I don't think I'd use it as like a red replacement. So when I buy a set of something and it has colors in it that aren't light fast, I'll usually buy a color or 2 outside the set so that I can get the, wow, these are really similar colors, so that I can get a light fast version. I've been doing that most often with gouache, because gouache tends to be not as light fast, but sometimes watercolor too. It just depends on the brand. Some brands are a little bit more concerned with that than others. Some brands really don't make any, not that they don't make any colors that aren't light fast, but they make very few that aren't light fast. Okay, we're gonna go get the pencil sharpener. Move this out of the way so that the crumbs do not fall on the paper. I've learned it the hard way. Oh no. It's not going to be one of those days, is it? It's broken inside. I'll have to look for another pencil sharpener. Yeah, it's definitely broken in there. It's okay. It's sharpened enough. We're going to be good. We don't need to be doing fine details right now. Yeah, it's definitely stuck in there. And it's like green on top here. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. Green on top. We'll have to scrape that off. Actually, let's do that right now. Otherwise, that is not going to be a very accurate. You know what? Let's get it wet. That'll work. These paints, these do some really interesting things if you paint on a already wet surface. Man, get out, come on. It's like dug in there. I guess I can just try to remember to just swatch on the side, because I can't get it out. Which would be fine. It'd be totally fine if I was not swatching them and not trying to get something accurate for you all to see. Okay, we have light green. And it's 3 stars. Yay! Oh, I forgot to put my phone on silent. Let's do that. Do not disturb me. Unless, well, there are some people that are not. You know how it is. Some people are allowed to break through that disturb wall. Light green. I feel like this might be a multi-pigment one. I feel like there's some variety in the... Uh-oh, did we... Where am I supposed to stop? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. Maybe not. Maybe it's all just one pigment. I felt like there were some parts that were darker and some that were lighter, but I think that's just... I don't think it's actually different. Well, maybe. Interesting. I feel like it's much more granulated looking than... Let me see if I can zoom in for you. And maybe it'll dry smoother, but for now, it seems to have broken up a lot. Or the color seems to have broken up. Permanent green. We have 3 stars. The greens are so light fast today. Just checking to see if we can fit the other 2 on here. I'll make this very skinny. I'm going to put a lot of pigment here in the middle because I feel like this can get pretty dark if we let it. It's funny that a lot of the colors have names like permanent green or permanent red, permanent blue. Actually, I don't know if I've ever seen a permanent blue. Oh, this one's kind of doing that granulation thing too. Maybe they have the same pigment base. Maybe it's just activating the paper in a weird way. Maybe it's because it's a little darker, but I don't remember the reds doing it as much. Let me zoom in so you can see it. Sorry about that. You guys aren't boring me. I guess I'm a little more tired than I thought. Next we have leaf green, and it is also very permanent. Oh, so I was saying like some of the colors are like named permanent whatever, and they're usually more light fast, and I think it's funny because it's kind of just admitting that most of your colors are never light fast. which I think in the past, maybe that wasn't a choice. There just wasn't the technology to make things light fast. And so you got what you got. Oh, this color should probably, they should have been switched. I didn't realize how light this was compared to that one. Yeah, I mean, I could have known. I could have known if I paid attention. It's okay, as long as they're relatively close to each other. It's just that color is very subjective, and color looks really different depending on what color it's next to. So I like to have the most similar colors next to each other so that there's the least amount of like distortion in my brain when I'm going to pick the colors. So I'll see things as close to how they really are as possible, which of course, everything is subjective. How we see things is based on our little brain only and not necessarily like any real truth. It's some people are like, I want to know the truth, and I'm like, so do I, but you know what I've discovered? We don't always know what the truth is. It's hard to ever really know. Even when you look at history, a lot of times it's totally made up or told through a very narrow lens of one type of person's experience. Wait. What do I still need to swatch? Hold on. Oh, it's in my hand. I just wanted to round this out to make it look prettier. So I wanted to pick up the last pencil I used, and I'm like, I thought I had to do one more. I do. It's in your hand. Cobalt green, deep cobalt green. It is 3 stars. So all of our greens, we can use them as much as we want. They are going to last forever. I just realized that my mic is so far away from me. So I'm going to move it over. Unfortunately, I don't have anybody in the chat to let me know. But I can see the bars of my audio. And I think they were, I mean, I never saw anything suspicious, but I could have just not been paying attention. Suspicious isn't the right word. I never saw anything concerning. This is such a cool color. I like that I have a lot of greens in this because I oftentimes mix my greens. But I really like green, and it's nice to just be seeing it. Once we're done swatching all these things, I'm going to be comparing different brands, and I think that's going to be so fun. But I don't know which brands that I have the same color in, because a lot of times when I'm buying a new brand of paint, it's usually paint, because it's usually not colored pencils. I don't have that many different brands of colored pencils. I like to make sure I'm getting different colors so that I have options of different color palettes. But unfortunately, that means that if I want to compare the brands, there's not a lot of overlap in the colors. Okay, I think I'm out of my tea, so I'm going to pour myself some water, and I'm going to take an electrolyte cap because I'm feeling kind of like low blood pressure-y. I'm going to check on chat while I do that. If you have allergies, these are great. Like, there's nothing else in them other than some minerals. They don't bother me. Not sponsored. They don't know I exist. Here. There you go. I wanted to drink more water, so I bought one of these, and I tried to fill it up to the top. But my Berkey didn't have enough water in it this morning, so I couldn't fill it very high. Okay. So next we're going to go to the other side, but we want these blues to be at the bottom here so that we're comparing like to like. So we're going to start out with black at the top. And I'm going to just switch these so that I don't grab the wrong ones. Should I flip around? Yeah. We don't want muscle memory taking over and grabbing them out of order. So those are done. Now we are on to noir. Schwartz. Black. Does Schwartz mean black? Are these? I think these are German. And maybe Schwartz means black in German. It is 3 stars. Art before housework. Hello, how are you doing? I'm doing good. How are you? Nice to see you again. I think last time you were on here, I'd asked you what kind of art you did. Can you remind me? Nice to see you on stream here. Now black is not a color I use in watercolor much anymore. Oh, sorry, ever. I actually just bought my first black watercolor a couple of months back because I wanted to do some backgrounds. Okay, this is a great example of it looks light when it's the pencil, but gets significantly darker when you add water. And it's going to stay this dark. It's not going to fade just because the watercolor dries. And you can kind of see the waxiness of it. I'll zoom in a second after I finish blending this so you can see it. You can kind of see the waxiness. And not all of the colors have a waxy quality. I find it more in the mangus than in these little regular ones. I really like the mangus because not only are they more light fast, but because you get to change up your pencil grip, and I tend to get like neck and shoulder pain if I don't vary what I'm doing frequently. So this is walnut brown, one of my absolute favorite colors. And it is 3 stars. Yay, walnut brown. Good for you. And it's really dark. Okay, yeah, so I wanted to do some paintings with a very, very dark background. And I considered doing pure black because a lot of times black in a watercolor painting is just going to really dull out the other colors, because the way watercolor works best is to have the white of the paper going through to give an illusion of luminosity. And because black is so deeply pigmented, it can ruin that effect, which is fine in some circumstances. Because I sometimes use watercolors kind of the way you would use gouache. And I treat it more like an opaque medium. I also might use colored pencils on top, and that can, colored pencils can be opaque, but the ones that I tend to use most are Caran d'Ache, and they tend to not be. Polychromos, Faber Castell Polychromos. So the same brand as this, but not watercolor. They're pretty luminous. Is that the right word? They're pretty translucent. That's the word I'm looking for. And so you get a lot of a lot of the same effects as a watercolor painting, but if you go hard, eventually you block out all light or all white paper, and then there's nothing shining through. Okay, the next one we've got is Van Dyke Brown. I always wonder, like, why Van Dyke? Who's that? Like, what does that mean? Van Dyke. Does anybody know? Who's Van Dyke? Is Van Dyke a painter? Is it the inventor of this color? Oh, only 2 stars. I thought I saw 3 on here. Nope. Here, I'm just going to scratch this out, and we'll put 2 stars over here. Like, some of the names that you see are Potter's Pink. Does that mean it's supposed to look like pottery? Or let's see another one that I find funny. Payne's Gray. Is Payne's like a person? Like, was it some person that always used this particular gray? Or is it like a window pane? I don't think it's spelled like that, but you know, with time, things change. I feel like we're getting more granulation with these browns. If it changes, I'll let you know. And I'll zoom in again. Burnt sienna. Yay! I love burnt sienna. And it is 3 stars. Look at you, burnt sienna. That's impressive. It looks so kind of cool when it's in pencil form. The second you activated it, it changes so much and becomes so much warmer. I completely forgot that. I was thinking, this doesn't really look like burnt sienna. But it does when you swatch it out. And it'll stay looking like that. I guess it's very versatile. If you only had one color, get burnt sienna because you get 2 colors in one. Raw umber. We've got 2 stars here. I found out this morning. So it looked almost like gold, like the copper one. I found out this morning that my dog has another UTI. I feel so bad for her. She's really old, and it keeps happening to her. Part of it might be that because she has to wear diapers, because she will have accidents. She's been having a lot of accidents during the day. She usually only has them at night. And we've tried everything. We've tried all kinds of alternatives to the diapers, and diapers are the only thing that works. But she was having chronic UTIs before we ever put her in diapers. So I don't know what's going on with her. I have to give her antibiotics. I'm not a huge fan of antibiotics, but I figure end of life care, whatever. And I would be, I don't think her gut health has gotten compromised by her freaking antibiotic use. She can eat anything, unlike me. I took a lot of antibiotics when I was younger, and it, I think, really messed up my gut. And I don't think that can happen to everyone. I just think if you're like susceptible to it, maybe you don't have the best gut flora to begin with, or certain mutations, maybe you're going to struggle. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see how these browns are looking. How it goes with browns. That's what I've noticed. Okay, the order here. Let me just check and make sure I'm happy with this, because I've got a gray green like plopped here in the middle. And do I really want green? This gray green. I think it'd be better to have it next to the other greens. We could put it in between. I just want to make sure that the blues are kind of down here next to the greens. And I like the browns next to the reds, because there tends to be a lot of overlap between reds and browns, and a lot of overlap between blues and greens and blues and grays. We have Payne's gray right here, and then we have indigo. I think we'll do Payne's gray first, and we'll include that with the browns. Although, to be fair, let's just swatch it real quick. Let's see what it's closest to. It's just very gray, and you just swatch it out. What happens if we add water? I mean, that's super green. It's much more similar in tone to this one, and it would be perfect with this one in a painting. But if I'm making choices about which green to use, I want it by the greens. So we'll put it down we'll put it by the greens. Payne's gray. It is 3 stars. Impressive. Oh, this one feels really smooth to use. A lot of them can, I guess, are a bit scratchy. I'm gonna kind of load it up right here, because I think this one can get really dark if you let it. Usually I would use Payne's gray or neutral tint in the place of black, and to get colors darker, especially neutral tint, because it's literally neutral. And it doesn't really sway it one way or another. At least it's not supposed to, per the name. This particular Payne's gray, I feel, is very neutral, but some of them look almost indigo. And they seem to lean much more blue. But Winsor & Newton neutral tint was my favorite. My first favorite neutral watercolor for making things darker. Okay, next we're gonna do indigo. I always make sure I have an indigo, because I just love it. So that one would be good to compare between brands, because I do tend to pick it up in every brand if I can, if they have it. Every brand and every formulation, I like to have it on hand. Although I'm really glad I have this Payne's Gray. I think it's really nice. I also feel like indigo is great for darkening things up. So is dioxazine purple. But then it can be really purple. Like it's usually clearly purple unless you add a lot of other colors to it. So I don't find it, like you can make things darker with it, but I don't find it to be the quickest because you're going to have to really think about what you can do to balance out its, I guess, coolness, cool properties of the yellow. So you'll see it looks much more neutral until you wet it, and then it looks a lot more blue. And I feel like there are some Payne's Grays that just look like this indigo. Okay, we are on to mauve. I remember people making fun of the color mauve. Like if you wore mauve, you were an old woman or something. I don't know, is mauve like embarrassing? Is it embarrassing to be an old woman? Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe it was Steel Magnolias they made, like that movie is like popping in my brain while I think about that. Although I don't remember that movie being negative about women are aging. Well, no, they were kind of they were definitely negative about women's bodies in that movie. There's a particular scene that did not age well, where they make fun of a woman and they say that, I've always thought it was funny. Looks like two pigs fighting in a blanket. I think that's funny because it wasn't, the woman dancing was very curvaceous and she did kind of look like that, but at the same time, like, they're saying it like it's a bad thing. And actually, like, now that body type is quite popular. I think Steel Magnolias was created at a time where only like heroin chic was the body type of the time. Heroin chic and you know, a large chest. I want to keep it PG here. In Danthrone Blue. That's another one I like to get. And sometimes it's really similar. This is spelled so weird, I need to concentrate. It's 3 stars. It can be really similar to indigo and Payne's Gray. But in some brands, it's just this amazing, rich, deep blue. And I don't remember. Let's see once we swatch it out. It definitely is more bluish, purplish than... These should definitely be switched. What was I... Why did I not... Oh, maybe because this one's literally labeled blue, but dark indigo. Oh, well, whatever. I only have one purple. It can be by itself. Wow, that really, I don't know if it was my technique or did it just really spread very easily. Maybe I used more water than normal. So that's a very purpley blue. I guess it's kind of in the right order. It's good enough. Next we have Cobalt Blue. I feel like Cobalt Blue is less purple than this normally, but that's how it is. And it's 3 stars. We have a lot of light, fast, bluish colors to choose from. My dog wants in. I'm gonna let her in. Let's go. Come. Ty, come on. Here. Let's go. Here. Go in. You might hear her walking around. I kind of selfishly want her in here because I think she's less likely to create a puddle while I'm watching. She might tell me that she needs to go. Whereas if I leave her outside, I took her out right before I started on here, and then she was in her normal chilling place when I checked on her. Well, once she starts walking around, I get anxious because I think that urine is going to appear. That's a lot of granulation there. I wonder if it's like colored harder than normal. Can I pull it up? Yeah. Let's see how it dries. I'll zoom in for you. They can drive me nuts when I'm working if I didn't mean for them to exist. You okay? You okay down there? Okay, Prussian blue. I love this blue. It is 3 stars. Look at you. You should open up your own restaurant. You'll get a Michelin star. Realizing as I say that out loud, but that probably doesn't make any sense. I was watching a lot of like Natalie in Paris, and one of the guys in it is trying so hard to get a Michelin star. So they're always talking about stars. So when I hear stars, that's what I think about. I guess you could think about Hollywood stars too. Oh, okay, hold on 1 second.
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride.
It wasn't an emergency. We're good. I'll call them back when we're done here. Ooh, look how pretty that one is. Why don't I use this color more often? I don't know if I have it across that many brands. It makes me want to go through and like make sure that I have certain colors, but then it'll totally mess up all the swatches that I've made in the books, because a lot of the pages I don't have space for another color. I have thought about, though, cutting the pages out of this book so that they can be removed and you can compare them to different pages. But that could be utter chaos. Like if they fell out. And they're so nice and contained and neat right now. I kind of don't want to do that. Phthalo blue. Also hard to spell. 3 stars. Woohoo! And you can tell I've used this one so much. And the reason why is because it was one of the first colors I bought, along with lemon yellow. Because phthalo blue is very close to cyan, or it's a good stand-in for cyan. And it can mix really well to make very pure greens and purples if you mix it with magenta. And I learned all of this from this book about like nature journaling by, I think his name's John Muir. He goes by Jack also. And it's not John Muir like the one you're thinking of. I think, is that his name? It's been a long time since I took some, I did the nature journaling conference with him. He runs it, or he did at the time. And he also has some books. But I'm trying to think if I'm getting his last name correct. Olive green yellowish. That is our last one. Olive green yellowish. 2. I've been so good at like fitting them all on the page, and then it just occurred to me, well, what if I want to get another color? I mean, I really don't need more colors because I'll always have them in another brand, but if I want to get them so that I can compare them in a YouTube video or something, or in a stream, it didn't occur to me how I was going to manage that. This one feels a little bit more waxy. And with that thought in mind, I'm going to just leave this space blank, and we'll check out other pages to do these for. But to do that, this needs to dry. So I'm going to probably put it on top of the wrong button. Sorry about that. And I'm actually really tired today. I normally have a lot that I could talk about, and entertain you while I'm waiting for these to dry, but I'm honestly kind of worn out. It was a very active weekend, and I'm waiting for my period to come, and that always makes me so tired. Sorry, waiting for it doesn't. Just it happening makes me tired. So this other brand that we're going to be swatching is the Caran d'Ache. And I also have Caran d'Ache, the crayons. So I have other water-soluble Caran d'Ache, but I don't have too many of these pencils. And these are some of my favorite colors, and I think it's really interesting what Past Heather picked. I don't know why I picked these. We're close to dry. Just one more minute. I don't know why I would pick these, because normally I would pick like I told you, this probably is this is chrome yellow, but it's pretty close to lemon yellow. I usually pick these colors. They're not my favorite, but they're just really good mixing colors. You can mix almost any color. But I've become so much less interested in mixing colors from scratch. I did that for a long time just so I could understand color really well. And now I'm much more likely to buy convenience colors and be happy with mixing gray. Because I don't mind if things are more muted. And I'm gonna, this little corner, it's just this little corner here that's still wet. I'm putting it really close to the heat lamp. So I gotta keep that, just that little corner. I'm putting really close to the heat lamp so that I can finish and move on. I've never tried to move on to another page before. Normally when I'm done with these streams, I just leave this on my desk for a while and let it dry for a couple hours so that it doesn't damage, so the colors don't get mixed up when I close the book. Okay, I'm just gonna, the paper's all warped from trying to dry it too fast. Just gonna pull up the color. It would look so cool if I let it dry, but this is just a swatch book. It's not that important. Okay, where can we fit the black? I mean, if we're gonna fit it anywhere, it's gonna be up there, because believe it or not, this is actually white. And I drew some stuff just so you could see how it covered it, which wasn't amazing. It did not cover it amazingly. We're gonna flip it upside down. And first we're gonna write the word black and 3 stars. And I'm trying not to squish this part right here because I know it's still wet. I'm trying to only squish the area that we really need to. I swapped out some of the colors in the set for colors I use more often. I think I swapped black out. I think black came with the set for whatever reason. Even though most people do not use black when they're doing watercolor. They would just make a dark color adjacent to black. I accidentally activated all of it, which I didn't mean to do because I want to see some sections of how it looks when it's just watercolor, when it's just pencil. Okay. So we did that, and then where should we do Holbein gouache? Do I want to get more Holbein gouache? I could, there's space for it. I left one page blank in case I want to get another gouache brown. I meant to leave some pages blank for more watercolor, and I accidentally filled them. I mean, we could just make a page for Rogue Paint. Oh, wrong one. Okay. We can put it in front of the heat lamp for a second. It's not that wet. It'll only take a second. We'll do these. Oh, I know what I can do. One-handed. Can I do this one-handed? Hold it with my leg. Okay. I want to show you what happens if you paint into a wet area. So I'm going to let that soak in for a second, and then I'm going to just put that on top. And if you paint into, let's zoom. these are the only ones I have. I don't know if I could possibly have more hiding somewhere. That's okay. We'll swatch them next time then. Karen Dosh. Golden Ochre. And it is 2 stars. I'm just gonna write them all down. Oh, I didn't mean to do golden first. I'm gonna cross that out. And I'm gonna do Venetian red. Let me clip this. The paper is really warped more than it was an hour ago. Once I close the book, it'll flatten out a bit, but right now it's really warped. So Venetian red, 2 stars. Golden ochre, 2 stars. And then we have Opaline green. I love these names. Opaline green. And that is 2 stars. I don't know what the light fastness ratings means in Caran d'Ache versus Faber Castell. Now these feel a little chalkier, but a little less scratchy, which I appreciate. And it feels like they're really easy to lay down. You know what? What if these aren't watercolor? Because it doesn't actually say that. It says Supracolor too, which actually I should write down. They were with my other watercolor pencils, but maybe they're just regular colored pencils. We'll see. We'll try to activate them. Supracolor 2 soft. They are very soft. But yeah, I swear I've activated these. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm remembering correctly. But look how different that color is. Okay, so we're pretty much done here, and I really appreciate all of you who were here today checking out what we were swatching. You see, they're like so similar to the colors in this painting. So here's what we swatched. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!